You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.
The options market can be a confusing place. Sorting through the daily avalanche of data, alerts, updates, articles, and analysis to find the most important information is an overwhelming prospect. But now you have help. Welcome to the Options News Rundown, the only program that breaks through the noise to bring you the most important news and information from the world of options. Every day we bring you the top 5 option stories curated by the options experts at theoptionsinsider.com, the premier source for free options information. The Options News Rundown is brought to you by Market Taker Mentoring, the leader in option trader education. Get trader education, daily trade ideas, and more with a free 1-week trial of Market Taker Mentoring's live Advantage group coaching class by visiting markettaker.com/insider. And now it's time to break through the noise. It's time for your Options News Rundown.
Good morning. Today is Monday, July 2nd, 2018. This is your Options News Rundown. I'm Dan Passarelli. Our first story today is from investing.com. It's the top 5 things to know in the market on Monday. First thing to know is U.S. trade tensions escalate. The European Union has threatened to impose new retaliatory tariffs worth $300 billion if the U.S. moves forward with tariffs on European cars. President Donald Trump, who has repeatedly criticized the EU over its trade surplus with the U.S. and for having higher import duties on cars, said last week that the government was completing its study and suggested the U.S. would take action soon. The latest development in the brewing global trade war comes only days ahead of a U.S. move to impose $34 billion of tariffs on Chinese exports on Friday. Beijing is expected to respond with tariffs of its own on U.S. goods. Second thing to know is Dow futures dropped more than 100 points. The trading week was set to kick off on a downbeat note on Wall Street, with U.S. stock futures pointing to sharp losses at the open, as worries over a brewing trade war between the U.S. and its major trading partners kept buyers on the sidelines. Third thing to note is the dollar is in demand as the euro slides. Away from equities, the U.S. dollar index was 0.3% higher at 94.50. Demand for the dollar continued to be underpinned by the relative strength of the U.S. economy and the prospects of additional rate hikes by the Federal Reserve this year. The fourth thing to know is oil falls after Trump tweets hint at higher Saudi output. Oil prices slumped after U.S. President Donald Trump surpassed traders by announcing an impromptu agreement with Saudi Arabia to add more supply to increasingly tight oil markets. In an early morning tweet on Saturday, Trump said Saudi Arabia's King Salman had agreed to his request to increase crude production maybe up to 2 million barrels to help offset a decline in supply from Iran and Venezuela. Interesting. International benchmark Brent futures were recently down 75 cents, or roughly 1%, at $78.48 a barrel, while U.S. crude futures on the New York Mercantile Exchange were down 37 cents, or 0.5%, at $73.78. And the fifth thing to know is global manufacturing PMIs lose momentum. Downbeat manufacturing activity readings from Europe and China further added to the risk-off mood in a worrying sign that Trump administration's America First protectionist policies could derail global growth. Eurozone factory growth slowed to an 18-month low in June, slipping for the first 6 months in a row, a survey showed. New orders New orders growth slid to its lowest in nearly 2 years amid widespread concerns about trade barriers and their impact on overall economic activity. Our second story today is from MarketWatch.com. Stocks in Japan and China tumble as trade war worries continue to trigger a rough start to a new quarter. Asian stocks fell sharply on Monday as traders kicked off a new month and quarter with economic losses and trade tensions once again got a reboot. And economic data from China disappointed. The Nikkei fell 2.2% as automakers such as Honda fell 1.8% and Nissan dropped 2.2% on President Donald Trump's weekend auto tariff talk. South Korea's Hyundai fell 1.6% as the Kospi index tumbled 2.3%. Australia's S&P ASX 200 and New Zealand's NZX 50 were flat to modestly weaker. Japanese stocks maintained their early weakness as U.S.-related worries persisted with a slump in sectors ranging from food to rubber, airlines, and retail. Hitachi Chemical fell 1.7% after disclosing inappropriate data entries related to lead-acid batteries. And our final story today is from CNBC.com. U.S. Treasury yields slip into the red amid escalating trade frictions. U.S. government debt prices ticked higher on Monday as talk of trade continued to keep markets abuzz. The yield on the benchmark 10-year Treasury note was lower at around 2.832%. That was at 5:10 a.m. Eastern Time, while the yield on the 30-year Treasury bond was in the red at 2.969%. As anticipated, fears surrounding a potential trade war between the U.S. and other major economies continue to plague the market sentiment around the world. The U.S. administration is reportedly looking into drafting a bill that would allow the White House to unilaterally increase tariffs without congressional consent, according to an Axios report published Sunday. If legislation moves ahead, it could mean that the U.S. would be acting outside the World Trade Organization's policies and rules. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is news you can use. For today, Monday, July 2nd, 2018, your Options News Rundown. I'm Dan Passarelli, Trade Smart, and have a great week.
Thank you for listening to the Options News Rundown. To learn more about these stories or any other developments from the world of options, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com, the premier source for free options information. The Options News Rundown is brought to you by Market Taker Mentoring, the leader in option trader education. Get trader education, daily trade ideas, and more with a free 1-week trial of Market Taker Mentoring's live Advantage group coaching class by visiting markettaker.com/insider.
The preceding program was a production of the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions@theoptionsinsider.com.